Know yourself. Identify your energy peaks. Look, if there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's that not all time is equal. Working at 8 in the morning with a clear mind isn't the same as trying to do it at 8 at night after a tiring day. We're not machines. We're people, and we function based on rhythms, energy, and emotions. One of the biggest mistakes we make in time management is treating all moments of the day as if they were the same. We think we could do any task at any time and with the same level of concentration, but that's not the case. The reality is that we have moments of maximum productivity and others when we're on autopilot, surviving on whatever energy we have left. And that's the key, knowing what those energy peaks are and make the most of them. The power of knowing yourself. Emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. If you don't know yourself, if you don't know when you perform best, then it's very difficult to manage your time effectively. Therefore, the first step is to do an observation exercise. At what times of day do you have the most mental clarity? When do you feel the most energetic? When do you find it hardest to concentrate? For some, the morning is a perfect time. Their head is clear, there are fewer distractions, and productivity is sky high. For others, the afternoon is when they hit their best stride. And still others feel their best time is in the evening, when everything is calm and they can concentrate better. Everyone has their own biological clock, and understanding it is key to using your time wisely, from theory to practice. When I started applying this to my life, I noticed an incredible difference. Before, I would get frustrated because I would try to complete important tasks at times when my energy was at its lowest. I would force myself to be productive when my mind was asking for a break, and the result was disastrous. I would work longer hours but perform less well, until I decided to analyze my patterns and discovered something fundamental. My best time of day is in the morning. So I made a radical change. I reserved my first few hours of the day for the most important tasks, those that require more concentration and creativity. I left email, meetings, and the more routine tasks for later, when my energy was starting to wane. The result was amazing. I got so much more done in less time. Respect your rhythms and don't force yourself to perform when it's not the right time. We often try to force ourselves to be productive at times when, honestly, we're not up to it. And of course, we get frustrated, we feel inefficient, and we feel guilty. But it's not a matter of discipline or willpower. It's a matter of self-knowledge. Look, there are times when you're at 100% and times when you just can't give more. And that's okay. The important thing isn't to work more, but to work better. If you know your rhythms and organize yourself according to them, I guarantee you'll use your time much more intelligently. Your time is your energy. So the message is clear. It's not just about organizing your time, but about managing your energy. Having a perfect schedule is useless if you fill it with tasks at times when you're not up to performing. Learn to know yourself. Identify your energy peaks and use them to your advantage. Because in the end, that's what emotionally intelligent time management is all about. Working with your energy, not against it. Manage stress to avoid procrastination. If there's one thing that steals our time, fills us with guilt, and makes us feel unproductive, it's procrastination. We've all been there. You have an important task to do. You know it. It's on your list. It's urgent. But instead of getting to it, you decide to answer messages, check your email, get up for a coffee, organize your desk, or watch cat videos on the internet. And when you realize it, 2 hours have passed and you haven't made an inch. Why do we do this? Why, even though we know we have something important to do we avoid it? Because it causes us stress. We don't procrastinate because we're lazy. We procrastinate because the task overwhelms us, because we're afraid of making mistakes, because it seems difficult, or because we simply feel emotionally exhausted. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in, learning to manage those emotions so they don't paralyze us. The vicious cycle of procrastination. The problem is that procrastination generates more stress. It's a vicious cycle. The task makes us anxious, so we avoid it. By avoiding it, we feel guilty and more stressed. That stress drains our energy and makes it even harder to get started. We keep procrastinating, we pile up more work, and our stress grows. It's like having a rock in your shoe. The more you walk without removing it, the more annoying it becomes. The solution isn't to keep walking and hope it goes away on its own, but to stop and remove it as soon as possible. How to break procrastination with emotional intelligence. When you understand that procrastination is an emotional response to stress, you can begin to attack it at its root. Here are some strategies that have worked for me. 1. Break the task into small pieces. We often procrastinate because the task seems too big. Instead of seeing it as an impossible monster to defeat, break it into manageable chunks. Don't think about writing a 20-page report. Think about writing the first paragraph. Don't think about organizing your entire house. Think about starting with one drawer. Small steps break the paralysis. 2. Start for just 5 minutes. If you're struggling to get started, set a goal of working on the task for just 5 minutes. Just 5. What usually happens is that once you start, the initial effort disappears, and you keep moving forward without realizing it. The problem isn't doing the task. It's getting started. 3. Manage your internal dialogue. Sometimes we fill our head with negative messages. I'm not going to do it right. I don't know where to start. It's too difficult. That internal voice is what paralyzes us. Change the narrative. I'm going to try. I'm only going to do part of it. The important thing is to move forward, not for it to be perfect. 4. Identify what's really stressing you out about the task. Sometimes we put something off because there's an underlying fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of being criticized. Fear of doing poorly. If you identify the emotion behind procrastination, you can face it with clarity. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I start this now? Most of the time, the answer is much less terrifying than we imagine. 5. Celebrate progress, even if it's small. Every time you make progress, acknowledge it. Motivation comes from progress. If you focus only on what's missing, you'll get frustrated. But if you focus on what you've already done, you'll feel motivated to keep going. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Do it now. One of the biggest myths about productivity is that we need to feel motivated to act. No, it's the other way around. First you act, and then the motivation comes. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel like it. Start, even with a small step, and you'll see how the rest flows. Because time management isn't just a matter of organizing your schedule. It's learning to manage your emotions so that they work for you, not against you. Learn to say no without guilt. If there's one thing that steals our time and energy, it's the inability to say no. It happens to all of us. Someone asks us for a favor. We're offered a commitment. We're assigned an extra task at work. And even though we know we don't have time or don't want to do it, we end up saying yes. Why? Because we don't want to look bad, because we're afraid of disappointing, or because we feel it's our obligation. But here's the key. Every time you say yes to something you don't want or can't do, you're saying no to something important to you. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. Learning to say no isn't selfishness. It's intelligent management of time and energy. The problem with wanting to please everyone. We were raised to be kind, to help, to not make others feel bad. And of course, that's great. But the problem is that we often do it at the expense of our own well-being. We accept unnecessary meetings, burden ourselves with extra work, spend hours on things that don't bring us anything, and before we know it, the day has been wasted on tasks we didn't choose. Saying no is difficult because we fear being seen as cold, selfish, or uncooperative. But there's a big difference between being kind and being accommodating. You can be a generous and supportive person without needing to accept everything others ask of you. The importance of setting boundaries. If you don't set boundaries, others will decide for you how you spend your time. And not because they're bad people, but because everyone is focused on their own needs. If you don't defend your time, no one will. When you learn to say no assertively, you gain 3 things. More time for what really matters. Less stress and frustration. Greater respect from others. How to say no without feeling guilty. It's not about rejecting everything or becoming unapproachable. The key is knowing when to say yes and when to say no respectfully and firmly. Here are some strategies. 1. Use kind but firm responses. We often say yes because we don't know how to say no. Having prepared responses helps a lot. Some options are, thank you for thinking of me, but I can't take on any more commitments right now. I'd love to help, but I have other priorities right now. I don't have time right now, but let me know if I can help you in any other way. 2. Don't over-explain yourself. The longer your explanations are, the easier it is for people to try to convince you. A short, clear no is much more effective than a speech full of excuses. 3. Practice before you say it. If you struggle with saying no, rehearse it. Repeat this out loud until you feel comfortable. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. 4. Remember why you're doing it. Every time you feel guilty, think about what you'll gain by saying no. More time for your projects, less stress, more balance in your life. 5. Don't worry about what others think. People may be bothered by your no at first, but over time they'll learn to respect it. And if someone gets angry because you set limits, maybe that person was only interested in what you could do for them. Your time is yours. Use it with intention. In the end, the most important thing is to remember that every minute you give away on something you don't want to do is a minute you lose for what really matters. Learn to say no without guilt, and you'll see how your life changes. Because time isn't about doing more, but about doing what really matters. Prioritize wisely. Not everything is equally important. One of the biggest mistakes we make when managing time is treating all tasks as if they were equally urgent. We get up, open our email, look at our to-do list, and rush to solve the first thing that pops up. And so the days go by, putting out fires, busy all the time, but feeling like we're not making progress on what's truly important. And here's the key. Being productive doesn't mean doing too many things, but rather doing the right things. The difference between urgent and important. Stephen Covey, in his famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talked about the difference between urgent and important. Urgent is what screams, what demands your immediate attention, emails, meetings, calls. But important is what truly moves you toward your goals, strategic projects, training, planning. If you spend your day addressing only the urgent, you become a firefighter putting out fires, but never building anything long-term. People who manage their time well aren't those who do more tasks, but rather those who know what to focus on, how to prioritize with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence helps us make better decisions about our time because it allows us to manage pressure, anxiety, and the sense of urgency. Here are some strategies for prioritizing effectively. 1. Use the Eisenhower matrix. Divide your tasks into 4 categories. Important and urgent. Tasks that require immediate action, crisis, urgent problems. Important but not urgent. These are key tasks, planning, personal development, relationships. Urgent but not important. Tasks that seem urgent but don't add value, unnecessary meetings, unimportant emails. Neither urgent nor important. Things that consume time without adding anything, social media, distractions. The key is to dedicate more time to what is important but not urgent, because that's where long-term results are built. 2. Ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to my goal? Every time you face a task, ask yourself, does it bring me closer to my goal, or is it just a distraction? Is it something I really have to do, or can I delegate it? If the answer is no, reconsider whether it's really worth your time. 3. Learn to let go of what doesn't add value. We often cling to tasks that don't add anything, just because we feel obligated. You have to learn to let go. If something doesn't bring you closer to your goals or add value, eliminate it or delegate it. 4. Establish a daily top 3. Instead of making endless lists, identify your 3 key tasks for the day. Those 3 things that, if completed, will have made the day worthwhile. Do what really matters. Time is limited. We can't do everything, but we can make sure that what we do moves us in the right direction. Prioritizing well is the difference between living busy and living with purpose. Because success isn't filling your schedule, but filling it with what's truly worthwhile. Create habits that automate your productivity. Time management isn't just about planning better, but about creating habits that help you work more efficiently without having to think about it too much. Willpower is limited, but habits work automatically. If you make certain productive actions routine, you'll stop, depending on motivation, and mental effort to do them. Think about it. Why doesn't it take effort to brush your teeth every morning? Because it's a habit. You do it without thinking. Now imagine that organization, discipline, and focus were also automatic habits in your life. That's where the key to good time management lies. The magic of habits. Less effort, more results. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, says that we don't rise to the level of our goals, but rather we fall to the level of our habits. You can have the best planning in the world, but if you fall into procrastination, disorganization, or distraction every day, you'll never make progress. Habits are what consistently lead you to success. How to create productive habits with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence helps us consolidate habits because it allows us to understand what motivates us, what holds us back, and how to make change easier. Here are some strategies. 1. Connect the habit to your identity. If you want a new habit, make it part of who you are. Don't say, I want to be more organized. Say, I am an organized person. When you associate the habit with your identity, it's easier to maintain. 2. Start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Instead of saying, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m., exercise, read, meditate, and plan my day, start with something simple. I'm going to write down 3 priorities every morning before I start work, or I'm going to turn off notifications while I work. Small changes lead to big results over time. 3. Use triggers to automate. A habit is reinforced when you associate with an action you already do. If you want to plan your day, do it after your morning coffee. If you want to read more, leave your book on your pillow before bed. Your environment can make your habits easier or harder. 4. Make the good easier and the bad harder. If you want to stop wasting time on your phone, put it in another room while you work. If you want to drink more water, leave a bottle on your desk. Make positive habits easy and negative ones uncomfortable. 5. Don't beat yourself up if you fail. Forming a habit isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. If you fail one day, it's okay. Just keep going. The important thing isn't perfection, but repetition. Make productivity natural, not forced. If you rely on motivation, some days you'll make progress and others you won't. But if you create productive habits, you'll work with effortless focus because it will become part of your routine. Because the secret to good time management isn't doing more, but making important things happen without overthinking it. Avoid multitasking and focus on what's important. We live in an age where multitasking seems like a virtue. We've been led to believe that doing many things at the same time makes us more productive, but the reality is quite the opposite. Multitasking is a trap that robs us of time, energy, and quality in what we do. The myth of multitasking. When we try to do several things at once, answering emails while talking on the phone, checking social media while working, listening to a podcast while responding to messages, we're not actually multitasking. Our brains don't work that way. What we do is rapidly switch from one task to another, and each time we switch, we lose focus, concentration, and effectiveness. According to neuroscience studies, multitasking can reduce our productivity by up to 40%, increase stress, and diminish the quality of our work. The more we divide our attention, the more mistakes we make, and the longer it takes us to complete tasks. The importance of single tasking. Instead of trying to do everything at once, the key to good time management is to focus on one thing at a time. When you work with deep concentration on a task, you finish faster and with better quality. Focus is a superpower in the age of distraction. How to avoid multitasking and improve your productivity. Here are some strategies to train your mind and focus on what really matters. 1. Use the Pomodoro technique. Work in 25 or 50-minute chunks of total concentration. Then take a short 5 to 10-minute break. This method helps maintain focus without mentally burning out. 2. Turn off distractions. Mute your phone, close unnecessary browser tabs, and avoid having notifications turned on. Every interruption makes you lose track of what you were doing. 3. Define a single main task. Before you start working, ask yourself, what is the most important task I should focus on right now? And do only that. Don't move on to another task until you've finished it. 4. Organize your work environment. A cluttered space creates distractions. If everything is organized, your mind focuses better. 5. Practice mindfulness. Training your mind to be present in the moment helps improve concentration. When you do something, do just that. Less quantity, more quality. Productivity isn't about multitasking, but about doing well what really matters. Focus on one task, do it with excellence, and then move on to the next. Because in a world where everyone is distracted, those who know how to focus have a huge advantage. Learn to say no without guilt. One of the biggest challenges in time management isn't just organizing our tasks better, but also preventing unnecessary commitments from taking up time we could be using on what really matters. And here comes a key concept, knowing how to say no assertively. The problem with saying yes to everything. We often say yes out of fear of looking bad, to avoid conflict, or because we want to be seen as someone willing to help. But every time we accept something that isn't priority for us, we are saying no to our own time, our priorities, our goals. We can't do everything. If we try to please everyone, we end up exhausted, stressed, and without time for what's truly important. Emotional intelligence at the service of no. Saying no doesn't mean being selfish or rude. It means setting boundaries with respect and clarity. Emotional intelligence helps us manage the situation without feeling guilty or creating unnecessary conflict. Here are some strategies to learn how to say no without guilt and without feeling like you're disappointing others. 1. Remember that your time is valuable. Before accepting a commitment, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to my goals or further away from them? If the answer is that it distances you, then you shouldn't accept it. Your time is yours, and you should protect it. 2. Use firm but kind responses. There's no need to give long excuses or unnecessary justifications. You can say something like, "Thanks for thinking of me, but I can't commit to this right now. I'd love to help you, but my schedule is full and I couldn't do it properly. Right now, I have other priorities I need to focus on." 3. Don't feel obligated to give long explanations. We often feel like we have to justify our no with a solid reason, but you don't need to justify yourself too much. A simple, "I can't right now" is enough. Offer alternatives if you really want to help. If you like to help but can't commit, you can offer an alternative. "I can't right now, but maybe next week I can help you." "I can't, but maybe someone else can." 5. Practice saying no in advance. If you struggle with saying no, practice saying it out loud. That way, when the time comes, it will be easier and more natural to express it without feeling uncomfortable. Saying no is saying yes to what really matters. Every time you say no to something that doesn't benefit you, you are saying yes to your time, your goals, and your well-being. Because the key to good time management isn't doing more things, but doing the right things. Delegate intelligently and confidently. One of the most common mistakes in time management is wanting to do everything ourselves. We believe that if we delegate, things won't get done well, that it's faster to do it ourselves, or that we'll lose control. But the reality is that trying to do everything alone is a sure recipe for burnout and inefficiency. If we want to manage our time with emotional intelligence, we have to learn to trust others, delegate strategically, and focus on what truly requires our attention. Why we struggle with delegating. Delegating isn't just about assigning tasks to others. It's about letting go of control and trusting that others can do things well. But why do we struggle so much? Some common reasons are fear that they won't do it the way we want. We think no one will do the work with the same quality or speed. Lack of trust in others. We believe that if we delegate, they will fail or disappoint us. Feeling that delegating means losing control. We want to oversee every detail and struggle to let go, believing that it's faster to do it ourselves. This may be true in the short term, but in the long term, it overwhelms and limits us. The benefits of delegating well. When we delegate intelligently, we save time, reduce stress, and allow others to grow and develop. It also allows us to focus on the truly important tasks, those where we add the most value, and that no one else can do for us. How to delegate with emotional intelligence. The key to delegating well isn't simply giving orders, but doing it strategically and with confidence. Here are some keys to doing it successfully. 1. Identify what you can delegate. Not everything can be delegated, but there are many tasks that don't need to be done by you. Ask yourself, does this need my personal attention, or could someone else do it just as well? Examples of tasks you can delegate. Operational and repetitive activities. Answering routine emails. Administrative tasks. research or information gathering. 2. Choose carefully who to delegate to. Delegating isn't just about randomly assigning tasks. You must assign them to the right person, someone who has the ability or can handle them with a little guidance. Ask yourself these questions. Who on my team has the skills to do this well? Is anyone interested in learning this task? Who has the time and inclination to take on this responsibility? 3. Clearly explain the task and the expected outcome. One of the biggest mistakes when delegating is not explaining well what is expected. People can't read your mind, so be clear about what needs to be done, what the expected outcome is, what the deadline is, what resources are available. If you don't explain well, the task is more likely to be poorly done, which creates frustration and mistrust. 4. Provide support but don't micromanage. Delegating doesn't mean disappearing. You should be available to clarify doubts, but without being on top of them all the time. Let the person take responsibility and trust in their ability. If you control every detail, you're not delegating. You're over-supervising, and that doesn't free up your time. It steals it. 5. Give feedback and recognize effort. When someone completes a delegated task, let them know what they did well and what they can improve. If it went perfectly, acknowledge it and thank them for their work. If there were mistakes, use the learning to improve next time. Feedback builds trust and improves the quality of work in the future. Delegating isn't about losing control. It's about gaining time. Learning to delegate is one of the most powerful tools in time management. You can't do everything, but you can ensure everything is done well by trusting others and focusing on what truly adds value. Because managing your time well doesn't mean doing more, but rather ensuring that what's important gets done, whether for yourself or for others.